Good evening, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered how to deal with insecurity and low self esteem? Well, we got a giant panel just for you. Good evening, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris, and as always, I'm here with your host, Nicholas T. Smith, the author of The Giants and the Smalls. And tonight we have an amazing lineup. I'm nervous just because I know the caliber of people that are in this room, minus Alex. Everybody else is no, just kidding, Alex. I love you, brother.
It feels
And
it
Alex
feels
is
like the Brady Bunch a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. It is the Brady Bunch. It's
Version
such
of
an
it.
amazing version of the Brady Bunch. This has them beat by miles.
Yeah.
Caliber of people that are on this call right now, and some of them have gotten up at 4 in the morning to be here. The rest of us would be lights out. I mean, we already talked about this. I probably wouldn't do it, but Adrian did. So we're grateful that he could join us from South Africa. Nick, I'm going to turn it over to you to get us going on our topic and explain what we're doing here tonight.
Yeah, something a little different. So we don't have an agenda other than the topic title, which is how to deal with insecurity and low self-esteem. And so we've got an expert panel here of giants that have been on the show. And I'm going to go around the room and introduce, but if you're watching, this is live. So when you comment, we'll pull you up on screen. We'll answer questions. If you have comments, we'll read those out loud. But this is an interactive training here, kind of a training, more of a call. So you get to kind of pick the brains of our experts. So I'm going to start at the top here on my screen. I've got Cordelia Gaffar. And so I'll have you introduce yourself, where you are in the world, and what impact you want to make.
Hey, great to be here. Cordelia Gaffar out of Washington, D.C., and I'm about freeing souls to the frequency of joy.
Awesome. Cap, we're going to turn it to you. Oh, yeah, on mute.
There we go. My name is LawSolace. I'm from Beloit, Wisconsin, and my mission is to help people find themselves and live their authentic truth.
Love it. Gerald.
I'm Gerald Jones, residing in Indianapolis, Indiana. And what I would like to do is just to let people recognize the greatness within.
Love
themselves.
It. Yeah, I love it. Alex.
Yeah, great evening, y'all. It's Alex Dumas. Just for oh my goodness, sorry, I'm like to use comment. Go with the briskets. I'm Alex Dumas in Raleigh, North Carolina, and my aim in life is to have fun helping people. Simple and plain.
Perfect. Charra.
Hi, I made it back.
You did. Yeah, tell us who you are, where you are, and what the impact you're making.
All right. So I am Charra Post. I'm in upstate New York, and I'm the founder of the self-care movement. So making an impact, helping people love themselves more and make self-care a priority.
Love it. Awesome. Erika, you ready?
I'm ready. My name is Erika. Can you hear me? Erika Cartagena. It's such a joy to be back and to see and meet you all. And honestly, I can relate to what you all shared as your individual missions. And a part of mine is to help people support and embody their full potential. I say in the workplace and beyond, because we're whole humans, and I support through the lens of leadership development coaching.
Perfect. Thank you. Adriann.
Hello, my name is Adriann Meyer. It's called Adriann, but that's Dutch. But yes, I live in South Africa, in Johannesburg, between Johannesburg and Pretoria. And it's 4 a.m, so that's why pale. Anyway, my impact. I help people escape a place called Narcotraz, which is a prison of the mind, how to take back their life and reinvent themselves as whoever they want to be. Because when you start with nothing, nothing can stop you.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Ryan Morris, you're muted.
That's a rookie move. Like, geez, how many of these have I done?
Rookie mistake.
We got another giant.
We got another one.
Yeah,
that's
go
amazing.
ahead. Tell us where you are.
That's perfect. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. Ryan Morris, co-creator of Wake Up with Giants TV, and I don't know, the SG groups and bunch of other cool crap that we do together, Nick. We are constantly looking for ways to serve, and our goal is to help impact 100 million lives for good, and to help them see their giant potential. So, and we're doing that through other coaches, because other people can have a massive impact, and as we work together, I think there's enough. Rising tides lift all ships, is what I say. So.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Erin Donovan, welcome to the show. Good to have you. So where are you in the world? And real quick, what's one impact you want to make?
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. And one impact I want to make is to help everyone understand their true nanger.
Perfect. I'm going to try a different layout. Look at that. Now we're zoomed in.
Okay, there we go.
Better.
Well, adjust again.
Well, everybody. So we're going to dive in. The topic today is how to deal with insecurity and low self-esteem. And I kind of want to dive into a definition. So if you'll raise your hand, I'll spot you. I'll call on you. But insecurity, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to be insecure? How do you recognize that you have it? Might be different for somebody else. Anybody want to tackle that?
Well, I would. Oh, you can go ahead, ladies before gentlemen.
Cordelia, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You feel at ease in your own being, your own skin.
Okay, you feel at ease in your own skin, or you do not? Yeah. Okay. All right. I like that. I don't like that. It's not fun to have, right?
No.
Gerald, did you have a comment too?
Yeah. I like to think of it. Insecurity as, just giving away your power. Sometimes you can feel powerless, not be powerless, but actually feel powerless. And whenever you do that, that's an insecurity. That's an issue.
Yeah.
That's just my way of thinking, though.
Yeah, thank you for that, Alex. I see you raising your hand there, and then Erika.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. So insecurity for me, what that shows up as, or what I've experienced at it, is me being in my own head thinking against reality, right? Of, I'm so bad at this. I'm not good looking for her, or I don't have enough money for this and that. And it's these mental games. I talk about a lot with clients who I call it the courtroom, where it's like these limiting thoughts and beliefs are the prosecution trying to eat away at me. And my job is to build up my defense, my real evidence of success and just accomplishments and just who I am as a person, what I create myself to be. So when I'm insecure, I'm scared, fearful. I'm not exactly who I intentionally might create myself to be all the time. So
yeah, and posted that the doubting your abilities. Erika, do you have a version as well?
Yeah, I think, in addition to what everyone shared, feelings of deep inadequacy and lacking a sense of self-worth.
Yeah. Kind of what I hear. Yeah, I love this. Erin and Charra. Then we'll go Erin, then Charra.
So I'm hearing a lot about emotions, and I think that we can get a little bit mired in emotions, and they're a little bit hard to define. So I think more when I think of insecurity, I think of the true definition of something being insecure, which is like that it's easily detached, or it's not fixed, or it's easily broken. And so my experience with insecurity is just that, actually, that it's not about an emotional inadequacy. It's not about confidence or a fear. It's that I'm not attached to something strong, that my position is easily broken.
Yeah, not anchored, right? Something along those lines. Charra, do you have a version of that or variation?
Yeah. I love what everyone else is saying. The first things that come to my mind when I think of insecurity, people pleasing, a lot of worry about what other people think of you. And then oftentimes guilt is attached to that. feeling guilty that someone else wasn't happy, but it's a lot of like I feel like it's when you're insecure, you often feel it like through your being. And it's just almost this weight that holds you back from being your best self, you know?
Okay. So what I'm hearing, I'm going to direct this a little bit, kind of using the framework that we use, is there's this identity of who you think you are, right? Or who you think you're not. There are these opinions or judgments about who you are in the world. And then the feelings are just an expression of that, right? So you have this identity that you've created, and then you have these feelings that kind of give you an expression of that in the outer world where you can act or not act on that. Do you have some other thoughts? Yeah, Cap, let's hear it.
Yeah, for me, what insecurity feels like is being outside of myself. So they say that your character is who you truly are when no one is watching. Well, when no one is watching, I'm fully secure in myself and I'm free to express and free to be. But when I have that insecure feeling, it's like I can't reach back into that space. And I'm just outside thinking about what everybody else may be thinking about me. It's just like I can't get back into that sense of my own character.
Yeah. Any thoughts around that? Does that bring something up?
Yeah, I mean, from my experiences, being around an environment where I feel like I'm not being accepted, and then that just does something to me, like being felt like I'm left out, or like I don't belong, because my job, for example, I'm a crane operator, and not to bring race into this, but I'm probably the only Black male crane operator you will see. So whenever I'm doing a job and I'm on construction sites, I may be the only Black person there. And it's like, when people look at that, because, I'm operating this big, heavy piece of machinery and I got to give orders and stuff like that, a lot of people don't really like that. So then they try to lower my self-esteem by making me feel left out or like I don't belong. So then I have to put on this macho thing, which causes me to be a little bit intimidating. But I have to do that just to get that respect, just to let people know I'm giving you respect, but at the same time, I want my respect. So I have to deal with issues in ways where people try to take my power away, where I have to do that just to get my power back. I won't relinquish that power for no one.
Yeah. Is it possible to have like this outside persona that we put on for others? Like you don't do that to me, but inside we're still feeling some of that fear or trepidation, that non-anchored feeling like Erin described.
Yes.
Right. We're not fastened to anything. And so if Erin, I'm curious around this, do you have some thoughts? Or Erika, I don't know if I saw you raise your hand there too. How do you get fascinated or fixed to who you are? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Erin, I'm not sure who you want to go
first. Erin and then Erika. Yeah.
So, I think one of the ways you do that is by seeing the world rationally, and it can be a challenge in this age where everyone wants to validate their feelings and they want to experience life through a lens of acceptance for things that they want to do in the name of freedom. But, I read somewhere recently that if you're falling out of an airplane and you have a parachute, technically speaking, you're less free because you are restricted by this parachute. It's taking away your freedoms. But in terms of, the imprisonment of gravity, there is a lot that's pulling you down. And so the person with the parachute doesn't view themselves as less free. However, like in this world, a lot of us are pulled almost like the force of gravity toward what is culturally normalized or accepted. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's right or that it causes true freedom or that it's liberating to experience what we view as freedoms of the modern age. So in some ways, the way you fasten yourself is to is to not really go for what you want all the time, because your desires are often very much influenced by culture and by society and by curiosities as well, and of course ego, and the thing that is always pulling us. And so sometimes the fascination really has to become with what's not as interesting to you, which is, the quiet self, the self that has less to pound their chest about.
Yeah, Erika, did you have a thought around that?
Yeah, I think that was a really good nod to, pointing to societal conditioning, right? Like, we're indoctrinated since day one. We're constantly being sold and fed things, whether it's conscious or, both consciously and unconsciously. And I think we are disincentivized to act, and there are far more incentives to live in a world where we're disconnected to ourselves, to our beauty, to our radiance, to our sense, our self-worth, to our power. And that's what we're being sold. So really taking the time, I heard stillness in your response, Erin, getting really quiet. Like, what I personally do and what I do with my clients is ask them, at the core of your being, like, what is real? What is true? And is it still real and true for you? And often, who put it there? And just sitting with questions like that to get to, like, the core, or to begin to get to, to dive into the inner layers of your being. And of course, it's a beautiful and incredibly complex question that I could probably spend the next, 4 years.
We could, truthfully, right? So, Cordelia, we're going to go to you next, but the idea of proto values, right? These values that we've established as far as identity, the control of identity, where that goes. And Cordelia, I'll let you just go in whatever direction you had when you had that thought. But that's powerful.
Yeah, I did want to speak a little bit to what Gerald was talking about, and bringing in what Erika and Erin mentioned. So, sometimes owning who you really are keeps us from being performative, and it keeps everything from being in your emotions, and it grounds you deeply in your values. And so, I am going to put race into it, but you can do it however you want. Like, listen to this as if it's you, as if there's an experience that you've had. I mostly, when I was in corporate, I was a CFO for an IT company that was all male, right? And mostly white, except for the software engineers who were all Indian. And so there was a lot of things going on there, and I just owned my expertise, right? I was not performative. I was all about the numbers. And so, for Gerald, I would imagine, he has to be all about, I'm running this powerful machine, respect that, and it helps to ground you. And as Erin said, keeps you away from the emotion of, the snide remarks or people projecting their insecurities onto you, because that's really what happens.
Yeah, this is a great segue into relationship, right? Adriann, I'm going to lean over on you on this one, is how relationship in any form, it could be work associates, it could be a relationship in whatever form that looks like for people, friends. How can that impact your security, your confidence?
Well, it has a huge impact because, for me, every relationship is an exchange of energy, and you look at the nature of that exchange. Is it life enhancing or is it life diminishing? If it's life diminishing, it's about shame and evil and guilt and all those things, and we see that in ourselves. And if we see that in ourselves, we also see it in others, and that's the exchange that happens. When we when we direct our mind, you can't control mind, but you can direct your own mind into your own being, that you are this person, then you relate to other people from this level of being. So what happens then is that the exchange of energy then either becomes life enhancing, in other words, life plus, I just call it, or it remains life diminishing. If it's life diminishing, self-esteem goes with that. There's conflict. There's always something about guilt. There's always something about shame. But if you begin to direct your mind to do that, you stand back and just look at yourself and say, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is my standard. And I engage with other people from that level, especially in a business. Then you begin to direct your own mind, and you become in a collective with other people who are like that. If there aren't anybody like that, then it's best to like get away from that. But it's very powerful to direct that mind. That's something I've learned in the last couple of years. Is where's my mind going? My mind, not theirs. My mind, because if it's directed, then it's like a ship. When the ship starts moving, it causes a wake, and in that wake, that's where the other relationships happen. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, Cordelia, go ahead.
Yeah, and I love what you said, because like when you're the one who's in control of your mind, your brain is actually like a magnet, right? So you can pull in the people you want to have a close connection with, and you'll actually repel those that are not meant to mix with your energy. So that's so powerful. I totally agree.
Exactly.
Any other thoughts around that? It got quiet. I love when it gets quiet. Yeah.
We are magnets, right? We're all connected in the first place. It's just what we choose to pull in, or what we choose to repel. So
there's a level of acceptance. Yeah, go ahead, Gerald, and I'll come back to that.
I was gonna say, like attracts like. So whatever energy you putting out, you're gonna get it back.
That's why Alex and I exchange things on Instagram. And wink at each other occasionally.
Yeah. So there's a level of acceptance that comes up in this. A lot of times when we're looking outside of us, we have an external locus of identity. So we're looking to other people for our identity. And so we don't really anchor into who we are, because it's not acceptable. If we could narrow it down to one thing, it's like we don't accept ourselves unless we measure up to this thing, which in some cases we just can't, right? We don't fit. Erin, do you want to tackle that?
Yeah, I think that a lot of relationships are used as fantasy escapism as well. So, the ego, in my opinion, as well as in my experience, is really likes to pretend that it's growing and achieving, but it's actually trading one egoic fantasy for the next. And what I mean by that, and this is where you see people jumping in extremes from thing to thing. They can't stay consistent. They can't stay stable. And we see certain people as unstable, and we see relationships as unstable. And if you question that, just look at the divorce rates in the West. And the reason there's that instability in relationships a lot more today than ever in the past is because a lot of people enter relationships now, in my opinion, because they are seeking refuge from an egoic fantasy that they no longer want to embody. Yet they don't want to drop the ego. They want to trade it for a different fantasy. So they seek out a partner, and they say, this is my new fantasy, and they're going to fulfill it. And they live in the honeymoon stage for a while. But unfortunately, the ego, it can wear masks, but it can never be completely shuttered out. So eventually the veneer cracks, and the true personalities of fear come through. And it's not the divine nature that's coming through. It's the ego protecting its own perpetuation. So it's not actually being healed. It's being you're being deceived in a way through relationship.
But okay, yeah, that's going way out there. I love this. Right?
Yeah,
bring up some ideas.
Like,
no,
thanks, Erin, for pointing, shining the lights. That's Thank you. Appreciate that.
Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, like an idea. I love what Erin said, and to fully understand what your series is, man. To echo that, what I see that is our separation from our abundant selves. Like when we're kids, we get to be anything. I want to be this. I want to do this. I want to create this. I want to make this. Do this, all this stuff, and through our programming, our conditioning. It's like, no, you can't do that. And all of a sudden it starts to become this one thing, and we become unstable, unhealthy, unfulfilled individuals. And what Erin was saying is like, we're chasing this dragon, right? Or ghost busting, like, all right, this is going to be the thing. Someday island. Someday I'll be happy when my prince comes. Someday when I get this, or when I get this much money, or my body looks like this, then I'll be happy, right? We're postponing our happiness. And then as soon as it happens or it doesn't happen, it's like, well, that wasn't so great after all. What's the next thing? I need another hit to fulfill me. And in the meantime, what happens in the middle of that? I'm insecure about this because I want this. But no, Ryan, the prince isn't coming. In the words of our buddy, this guy named Steve, he said, "It's you. You're the prince. You save yourself." And
well, how much hiding is there in insecurity? How much do we hide our true selves from others? We're not vulnerable. We don't tell what's going on in here. Is that a part of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Charra?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, it's kind of a game of hide and seek when you're insecure. You're constantly trying to find who you are and what makes you happy and where you fit in. But then you're fearful of what others think, so you're hiding, and it's going back and forth in this strange way. And everything that you had described earlier, and I'm forgetting everyone's names. I'm horrible with names. But it almost sounds like it's symptoms of insecurity, right? Seeking out that new relationship and what's next is going to make me happy, and lacking that acceptance of who you are. And Nick, I think you had mentioned acceptance earlier. Like, once we are able to finally accept who we are on the inside and the crazy things that our brain is doing, you know, and just kind of like see it and accept it, then we're able to start making those changes and living our fullest life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna keep clarifying. Yeah. I do know what you mean. Cap, we're gonna go to you, and then Erin. We're gonna go back over to Erin. So,
well, I just had something to say going toward the relationships and everything. So what I've developed within myself is I've been starting to show people love, no matter what, and no matter to get anything in return. Simply just showing them all type of love and accepting them for literally who they are. I want them to show me their true self, and I want to accept them at that level. And once I'm able to see who they truly are, the people start to open up. Even if I'm not necessarily resonating with them, the fact that they feel accepted, they start to open up. And once they start to open up, it's like everybody has something to teach me. Like, I could be around a person that I'm not resonating with absolutely at all, but since they are opening up, they start telling me about their passions. They start telling me about things that they like. And once they start talking about the things that they like, they spend time doing the things that they like. So now they have their own personal experience to share with me. And I like to take that and I like to analyze it for myself. So like when it goes to like insecurities and everything, someone that I don't even necessarily like may be dealing with the same type of insecurity that I have. And then I can take their own personal journey of life, and then I can analyze it and see how I can overcome it for myself by witnessing their life journey.
Yeah, there's a lot to do with alignment there, right? When people open up and you really see who they are, then you can decide if that works for you or doesn't, right? Yeah. Or if there's something to learn or not. Erin, you had a comment there. Does it tie into that or something totally?
It's a little bit, but it goes back more so what someone else was saying about symptoms. And I think that one of the reasons we as humans seek relationships, even if we're perhaps slightly unstable, as I mentioned before, is because relationships are a natural result. Healthy relationships, I should emphasize, are a natural result of being truly aligned. And so healthy relationships we seek and we want, just like money and success financially and actually being able to take things to fruition are also signs that you are aligned. So a lot of us are seeking the symptoms of fulfillment of our lives instead of fulfilling our lives and then receiving the symptoms as a result. And we're trying to skip the step in between. And that can have very frustrating effects, because you can sit there and go, I'm doing this work that I view as getting me toward this goal. I'm going out there, I'm being in relationship, I'm trying to get my thing out there. I'm trying to get my coaching business out there. I'm trying this, I'm trying that. I'm doing this, I'm getting coached myself, blah, 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 blah. You're doing all of these things. However, if you don't address that step, which is a challenge, and most people don't want to, because as I mentioned before, they want to jump from one ego fantasy to the next. They don't want to actually drop the ego because it is their view of having control. And they actually see it as a danger, that if they dropped it, they would lose control.
So kind of a fear response, survival. You're talking about survival here.
Yeah. So when you can make decisions not out of survival, but because survivalism is what causes human suffering, because we're fighting for resources. But when you take it to the next level, you're not looking at survival, you're looking at a life that is more divinely led. And that is, that's not just about figuring out where your next meal is coming from. It's way deeper than that. So we are blessed in this time to not have to worry so much about survival, but a lot of us are still acting like we are in survival mode, which is kind of silly.
In different forms.
And
There's a theory called polyvagal theory that talks about the levels of survival that we go through. So there's the level of depression, freeze, fawn response, and then a higher level would be fight or flight. And then you move into acceptance, right? And acceptance is one of those levels that neutralizes it all so that you can actually move into thriving. And so many of us are stuck in the fighting. We're either in fight or flight or freeze or fawn, which is a lower level, which is where we experience the depression. And so that's where a lot of insecurity might come up, is we're not measuring up, like in the words of Lisa Feldman Barrett, to our own ideals, or we're not measuring up to the ideals we think others have for us, which is still our own creation in here. So our insecurities still come back inward.
Sometimes I look at myself and I say, I'm insecure because there are ways that I really still stink. Like, and that's honest. Whereas a lot of people want to say, I just want to accept myself just as I am, and blah, blah, blah. And the truth is like, who you are probably stinks. Like, and because people who are truly great inside, not just faking it, they don't have insecurities. They don't stink. So if you're feeling bad about yourself, you better like take a look and see, like, where do you stink? And then maybe like freshen it.
I think I need a shower up.
Take a shower.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
For everybody on this panel. Your maturity level. When does your maturity level play a part in your self-esteem and your insecurities?
So
just say, for instance, like letting go of some childhood, trauma, or just say getting on a maturity level where you're handling your finances better. When does that play a part in your
there's two parts to that. There's physical maturity and emotional. And Erika, I'm going to let you tackle this. So what came up?
I'm not entirely sure that I think, insecurity is a natural part of the human condition, right? And it's a part of like the inner reflection and evaluation process for relational beings. And I think it's quite natural for things to come up. I think just like anything else, the emotional maturity becomes with how it is that you handle it and what your approach is and how you learn from these lessons and figure out how to integrate them in your life and just get better at it. So I think that as long as you seek challenges and growth, you'll be tested, and that may come in the form of insecurity. So instead of making it like a bad word, perhaps embracing it as a challenge and an invitation to step into wholeness, to step in a more complete and an embodied version of yourself, and needing less and less external validation. And for myself personally, one way that I've noticed the eradication of some of those behaviors is like in my like flipping the switch from FOMO to JOMO, and not feeling like I'm missing out on anything, and just feeling really happy and complete and whole and fully satiated and content with where it is that I am at exactly that time. So there are ways that you you to check. And I think that comes with a level of, maturity for sure.
Is that so? That's an indication of growth, is what you're offering.
For me, it's been an indicator of emotional maturity, and it's been an indication of like how much of almost like a reflection of the micro and the macro and the microcosm, like how much within me is desiring, such a thing, and why am I desiring that thing? And that I don't know, there's something about settling into this new decade in life where I'm finding joy and just so much benefit in preserving my energy and saving it for connections and time and spaces and people where it really, really matters. Otherwise, I opt to and prefer to spend time solo. Right. So
yeah, I can relate to that. Adriann, we're going to go to you, and then Cordelia. Thank you for that, Erika.
What just came up for me is two things. First, immature and insecure go together. They're like brothers or sisters. When you're immature, you're going to be insecure because you don't know who you are. You're not in control of your own mind. You're not in control of anything that's going on around you. And when you do that, you're signing up for a more narcissistic relationship. Erin was saying earlier, when you doing the insecurity thing, when you go into a relationship from that point of view, you're signing up you putting yourself out there, you're mailing out invitations to be sucked into a narcissistic relationship, because that is known for being a person who is insecure. And if they're insecure, they're immature. When you're immature, you become irresponsible. And that is what narcissistic relationships look like. It's high levels of insecurity, immaturity, and irresponsibility. When you put that together, you've got a soup there that's going to drown you.
Yeah, Cordelia?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan mentioned this already, but what I was actually hearing in everyone's answer to the relationship thing is we really need to get to a place of awareness, right? And even speaking to what Adriann was just saying, like once you're aware of your level of maturity, that can be the driver of your decision making. Once you're aware of how you make your decisions, or if you choose to make decisions, right? If it's decision versus choice, that can tell you whether or not your level of maturity, right? Because when the more insecure and immature we are, we make decisions because something must die. And the more mature we are and secure we are, we make choice because we're fully responsible for anything we do. And, circling back to what Erika said, that is where the JOMO comes from, because it's a choice,
Yeah, so we'll come to this question if you'll keep that up for a minute. But the idea of decision and choice, being decision to cut off, right? And choice is to move forward, right? Is that kind of how you mean that when you say that? Ryan, we'll pull that back up in a second. Thank you, man.
Yeah, I would say that because that when we're talking about choice, it's what you are pulling in. I think all of us have mentioned that we all are really part of a oneness, right? And we have the choice to pull in what we truly desire all the time. And instead, sometimes we decide to not do that. And that's what makes us unstable and cuts us off from each other.
Yeah, thank you for that. Do you want to pull that back up with Anne Reed? And anybody want to tackle this? Is the opposite of insecure arrogance. I think moving from insecure to awareness and humility is a comfortable succession to me. Any thoughts around that? Charra?
I'm trying to find my hand.
Yeah, you're good. Somewhere over here.
For me, I don't think that the opposite of insecurity is arrogance. Maybe it can be for some people, but when I start to feel more secure, I'm able to positively impact more people, right? So it helps me to step into my power in a way that I can actually be more helpful and serve others. Where when I'm more insecure, it's more about being too busy worrying about what other people think. And as I've grown more and more secure and my self-esteem has improved, then I'm able to put myself out there because now I'm sure of myself and I'm confident in my abilities to help other people. So I don't believe that that's arrogance. And what would the better word be? What's the opposite of insecurity?
Certainty.
What was it, Alex?
Confidence?
Certainty.
It's
Security.
secure.
Self-confidence, self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Confidence,
to think.
certainty.
Yeah, Gerald?
I like to think. Now this is just me. I like to think the difference between self-confident and arrogance. You know, when you're confident about yourself, you're competent. You know, when you're arrogant, you have no competence nowhere. I mean, that's just my way of thinking. I mean, I've seen people that walk around very arrogant, but you know, they don't even know what they're doing. You know, they're just there. They're just putting themselves out there as being something that, you know, they're trying to build up insecurities through, I don't know, just by putting other people down or making people feel less than. So I like to say self-confidence. When you're self-confident, you have competence. Arrogance, you have no competence.
Even that word confidence, right? To confide in.
Yeah, right.
And trust is kind of the same thing, to confide in. And a lot of times we won't even have confidence or confidence, right, in our own self, in ourselves. And so if we can't confide in ourselves, who can we confide in? Anybody want to tackle that? I just want to drop a bomb in here, and right? A confidence bomb.
See, there you
Yeah,
go.
you know, because Nick, I was coming to that. I was like, it's about self-love.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and because when your thoughts, right? They're the seeds to your thought, to your growth, or the bars to your prison choice. And when you become aware of who you are and you're willing to accept that and look at it, then you can, you know, say, you know what? I forgive myself for what I didn't know. I did the best I could with what I knew at that time. And then you can, you know, get to the pieces to love those parts of you that, you know, it's like, okay, well, maybe that parts of me stinks, but that's okay. I love it anyway. I like stink sometimes, you know?
Yeah, Erin, go ahead.
Yeah.
Are you complete there, Cordelia? Yeah, thank you.
Confiding in yourself. So when I look to confide in someone, I usually look to seek wisdom from somebody. So this goes back to the maturity question in some ways. But a lot of people don't confide in themselves because they're righteous in not doing so, because they are not mature. And so we don't go to 2-year-olds for advice. Usually, sometimes we're like, "Am I pretty?" And they'll say yes, and we're happy about it. But we typically don't go to young people for advice. And the reason is because with youth or immature, you know, youth we equate with immaturity, and with immaturity is an inability to see clearly. And so for a lot of us, we aren't able to see our own lives clearly. We see our lives through a lens of fear. We see our lives through a lens of even some of like the platitudes you hear, like, you know, I love myself and I'm so happy with myself. It's like those are very vague and they don't really mean anything. So we have to watch out with language like that, because what, you know, people who are actually looking for answers want more than platitudes. They want to understand what that means. So if you really think about what garners maturity in an individual, it's their ability to almost, you know, uninhibitedly, I'm not sure if that's even a word, but
it is today. So yeah,
and fully
I wrote it down.
Stay integrated in their character.
Yeah.
So, you know, character attributes being honor, integrity, honesty, and they are able to do that with themselves, and they're able to do it with others. And, you know, that's true security, because then that's what you anchor to. You know, you asked earlier, what do you anchor to? And it's really character, but that's gone out of vogue in recent years. So we just say, whatever you want, whatever your dream is, that's what you anchor.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's ancient, but sometimes the oldies are goodies.
Yeah, so I'm thinking now about what Cap said about the loving others and holding space where they can just open up, and a lot of times the platitudes, the cliches that we hear of just love yourself more, accept yourself more, and you'll be fine, and that doesn't work. Superficially, you hear it, and it just bounces right off. And so when somebody can hold space for you, you start to, like, this is a level of growth in that maturity, as you start to learn how to do that for yourself, where you can hold space for your own thoughts. And then you have that confidence, like you said, that confidence, where you can actually start to have a conversation with a mature adult inside of you, rather than having to look outside of you for those answers. Does that make sense? Cap, I feel like you really hit on something. Cordelia, did you? Yeah, I'll let both of you tackle that.
Yeah, I actually love to confide in myself, and I had this thought, and it went something like, if I was to remove all of my senses, my taste, touch, hear, smell, all of my senses, I want to gain an awareness of myself there, without knowing myself based on anything outside of this world. And that is the person there who I want to love. I want to love myself without my senses. And now, since I'm there, this is the person that I want to build. So then it allowed me to hit this level of being truly honest with myself, like the harsh truths of myself. And just because I heard this quote, and it goes, I forget who said it, but it was like, you got to make sure you're not fooling anybody. And the easiest person to fool is literally yourself. So I will go, and it's a very long and tedious journey, but I have to make sure that I'm not fooling myself more so than anybody else in this world. So if I'm truly going to accept myself and confide in myself, then I have to be 100% honest with myself.
Man, Cordelia,
that can be the hard part. That can be where the fear and the comfort, it's comfortable being where you're at right now.
That is so on point, because here's the thing, like right now, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with this group. It's called the Ultimate Coach Group. And so I'm running, have you? Right. So I'm running the Being Challenge this week. And the challenge is to be love. The first 3 days are practicing loving yourself. And here's the thing that I'm finding. So many people don't even know what love is. But what Cap just said, that's it right there. You have, like, love is not a feeling. It's a vibration, just like joy, And a lot of people, so far, first of all, they're like, well, I didn't want to do this because I don't love myself. Or, I've never been able to say that to myself, And I think everyone here has been talking about trust and integrity. And if you can't honestly say that you love yourself, it's a platitude. But if you know what love is, then you can say that you love yourself. And it's real, and you're grounded in it, and people feel safe, and you can actually hold space, like what Cap was saying earlier. It creates security.
Yeah, let's go Erin and then Erika. This is where we always get the mix up. So, and then Gerald, did you have a comment as well? So we'll go to you third, maybe. Nope. I'm just going to put you on the spot then. Go ahead, Erin.
It's all good.
So, if you are confused about love, anybody watching this, one thing to really ask yourself is like, a loving parent is going to often tell you the hardest things, but they don't tell you those things out of hatred. They're trying to help you. And so this goes back to what Cap was saying, which is that it's very hard to be dishonest with ourselves, because in a lot of ways we erroneously view love as acceptance of people's faults. And sometimes, one of the ways that my wires were crossed in the past was that I was willing to accept the unacceptable from myself and others. And what that really meant was that I wasn't able to understand truth from falsehood, because I thought like just accepting everything about myself was love. but it wasn't, because if you are accepting what's unjust about yourself, if you're accepting what is unacceptable about yourself, you do the same in others. So we see this cultural push to accept the unacceptable, and people want to fight for things that are unacceptable because they feel insecure. So they're not going to feel good enough about their choices until everybody accepts them. And that's a big challenge we have in this world today, is that a lot of us have those wires crossed, that we believe love means acceptance of wrong. And I'm using wrong lightly because, you know, it's a loose term. So I don't love that term. I'm lacking for a better one at this moment. But I think you all understand that there are things about our personalities, our lives, our thinking processes that are twisted. And the way to untwist is exactly what Kept was saying. It's to be fully honest. And part of that process is to learn how to accept what's acceptable about you, and to learn how to not accept what's unacceptable, and to find the pathway of treading that very diligently.
Erika, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I may hold off.
Yeah.
I guess so, because this tangentially might take things in a different direction.
Okay.
But you know, the things that I think about all of the time are that one of the things is it's like all about love, right? Like all of this, it's really why I believe we're here. It's almost like the antidote and the answer to all of the things.
Yeah.
And I have, you know, Nick, I felt you when you said something like we have this, a couple of different points that I wanted to make. One of my teachers always says, you know, if you spot it, you got it. And that helped me accept compliments in a different way, because it made it so that it was emanating from within. So of course I can see it, because it's also because I have it within me. I have the ability to resonate with, to connect to it energetically, to see it in myself. And there are just so many. That has been a very loving practice for me, and has helped me really hold like all of the discomfort when it comes to actually receiving love. I think we talk about so many things in the form of the exchange in love, and we often neglect to talk about, like, we don't learn how to receive love, interestingly. And it's just like just a fascinating thing that I can go on and on about. And
yeah, no, I like this. So Erin, hitting on what you said, now Erika, this is, so the word right or wrong, you know, going back to Hebraic terms, good and evil actually meant ripe and unripe, ready or not ready, right? So if we're talking levels of maturity, then all we're talking about is things that are immature or not ripe, and things that are ripe, and really wanting to increase things from that non-ripeness to ripeness, if that makes sense. I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, because I'll join Erika and we'll go on tangents. That's what we do.
And you know, Nick, like
Yeah.
maturity, I don't think is always a chronological thing, because like I
Yeah,
got 6
yeah.
kids, you know, and I have some that are older
Yeah.
and are, you know, could be called adults, but I mean, I think my younger ones sometimes are a lot more mature. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I got you,
I feel
yeah.
like in the
Yep.
West, we have that a little bit mixed up.
Yeah, so that could be emotional. Alex, do you have some thoughts around this? Anything coming up around that for you? And I'm gonna put you on
A
the
couple
spot
of
now.
things.
Yep.
You know, for me, in that thought of acceptance, and something that Erin hit on about the right or the wrong. You know, what I've found for myself is these insecure things I call like my monster, right? My mind is like a hallway doors, and a monster behind this like gated door, like don't go in there. And what I found on this path of forgiveness, of acceptance, is I don't need to make that thing wrong. It was there, created for a reason, to protect me at a time where emotionally I wasn't, or physically, whatever, I wasn't able to process or deal with a situation or a conversation in a way I would deal with it now. So it exists. It's there for a reason. I don't need to make it wrong. I get to play the game now of noticing it. Like, oh, I don't like Ryan's red hat. Like, where's that coming from? Where's that judgment coming from? Like, oh,
I feel the same, if we're clear about
It's
it.
the worst.
You know what I mean? But like, it's just
Yeah.
like, it's my lens of the world. Like, how I'm seeing things is how I'm going to be with it. If I'm seeing things as, oh, his red hat is nice. That means I don't have a nice hat. And all of a sudden I started going down this like wormhole of, man, I remember that time I really wanted a hat and I couldn't wear it. And then everybody thought I was cool. And then I was a loser. And like, where's that?
I hear my 10-year-old self right now. As you're speaking, I'm like, that's me at 10.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, for a lot of people, like they say, the development, whatever, it's 7 to 12 is like those prime years. Like you show me a man at 7, that's what he'll be. Not necessarily always true, but there's a lot of elements, a lot of things already cemented in. We've been trained like better than the Navy SEALs of, hey, this is how you doubt yourself. This is how you second guess. This is how you're not allowed to express yourself. You know, when we're babies, oh my goodness, you're talking way. A month later, shut the hell up. Like, you won't stop talking. You won't stop running around. Like, what happens? We get confused. You were celebrating me for being happy and joyful, and now okay, I'll just shrink.
Yeah.
You happy guardian, whoever. What happens?
Yeah, thank you. Erin, before I call on you here, the idea of the lens of life, Alex, that you hit on, that lens of life, that perception that we have affects everything that we see, think, feel, act on. I mean, it's so important. Erin, go ahead and jump in there.
Yeah, two thoughts are coming to me about acceptance of love was one of them, that it's difficult for us to accept love. And one of the reasons is because you have to be able to, the amount you can accept truth is the amount you can accept love. And a lot of times truth comes in the form of criticism. So many people shrink away from criticism or critique. And that's actually a symbol that they don't know that they're unable to experience love. So if you do feel that in you, that's just interesting. But then the second thought is like about this idea that, oh, you praise children for learning how to speak or like even going potty, and like nobody praises me for those things.
But we all did it today, right? Like,
and the thing is about that is like, the world only respects what's difficult. And so at some age, it's no longer difficult for you to speak. It's actually harder for you not to speak, as I obviously have. So that's our bigger challenge. And then also, like, you don't see signs for like how to gain 30 pounds quickly. It's like, just eat some brownies, it's quite easy to do. The reason that the beauty standard today is slimness is because it's difficult to be slim and fit. And back in the olden days, when it was difficult to have access to food, being chubbier was considered more respectable. So people want to like have these things of like, we want everyone to accept weight and this and that. It's like, well, people don't respect. It's not that they don't accept you, but they don't respect what's not difficult. And so that's the thing where some of these ideologies of bringing in, like, we want everyone to treat us the same. It's like, okay, I understand that, but you cannot force people to respect what they don't respect. It's just like, that's our free will and that's our freedom of mind. And so for a lot of us, when we sit there and we go, well, why isn't the world respecting my work? Or why isn't the world respecting me? It's because they don't view you as somebody who is doing the difficult thing. So if you want to be respected in the world, and the crazy thing is what's difficult changes with society. So you could be respected 1 year and 10 years later be doing the exact same thing, but you've lost respect because society's view of difficulty has changed. So I just find that interesting.
we could go off on a whole show on. Yeah,
I just got one thing.
Yeah,
and this another question for everybody on the panel. How many of you actually forgive yourself? Okay, you forgave yourself.
I think that's
How many of you just say, because you know what they say, in order to give love, you got to love yourself first. That's just, but I just, my thing is, I don't understand why some of us can say we love ourselves and we really don't know how to love, but we love ourselves. And that comes from not wanting to forgive ourselves for maybe, something we did in the past. Or like I said before, some trauma that we experienced that won't allow us to love like we should love. The respect thing, in order to, give respect, you gotta have respect. So if you don't have respect for yourself, you're not going to respect anybody else. Same way with love. If you don't love yourself, how can you love anyone else? So all that comes from within. And see, that's my mission. My mission is to, get people to understand that the greatness comes within. So everything within that you want to put out, find it in yourself. Find it in yourself within. Like you got to make them sacrifices. What's hurting you? The things that may cause you to judge other people. Sometimes, hey, that's coming from you. That's something that you feel about yourself. Or it could just be that, you were just brought up in a different era.
Yeah. Or
in a different environment, as they say.
Yeah.
My thing is this, I like to preach self-love. That's what my coaching is about, self-love. But there's one thing I forgot, and that thing was, the sacrifices that you have to make in order to love yourself.
I'm going to just check in with everybody. We're at time now. That went by way fast. So we might have some just closing remarks here, and we'll have to do this again. I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, we'll have to just keep going. So we're going to do more panels like this. But Charra, go ahead with your thought, and then we'll wrap up here with some final thoughts.
My final thought, it's Gerald, right?
Yes,
I think you hit the nail on the head with forgiveness. I think that one of the keys to self-love is forgiving yourself. And so many of us don't feel worthy of that forgiveness. So making it a practice and almost a habit of forgiving yourself, I think is really, really important. If we can start with the little things, then eventually it'll be a bit easier to forgive yourself and others for some of the bigger things.
One act of kindness a day is the first step in forgiving yourself. Just one act of kindness. Compliment somebody.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. All it takes.
Love it.
So final thoughts. Who wants to share just a final thought as we wrap up here? Anybody, just raise your hand. Adriann, go ahead.
If just pulling everything together that's just been said about insecurity, maturity, and all those things, is when we speak to someone, they hear from their level of consciousness that they perceive that you are judging them. You are just giving them advice. You're telling them, maybe this is a good idea. What they hear is you are stupid. It's not being immature. That is where they are, in that level of consciousness. If we then take it back, that they would attack us, is because of them, not because of us. So, and being loving to someone is understanding. I understand where you are. That's your level of consciousness. So you attacking me is not attacking me. You are attacking yourself. It's coming from you. So it is not pushing me off my track of who I am and my self-esteem or my esteem and my security. I know who I am. What I'm giving to you is maybe advice. Okay, sometimes it's unasked for, but I'm giving you advice. What you hear is what you hear. And it's okay with that. So that is then I remain secure in who I am. And what I give you is from that place of security and maturity. And I respond to you in maturity, not from an immature, like, how can you say that to me? I was just helping you, kind of thing.
I love it. Anybody else want to share a final thought here?
Ooh, final thought right here.
Alex Dumas.
He was on that rock that is LTSG. Let that go. because wherever we go, that's where we are. If we go on an airplane, I have the stuff that I need with me for this particular trip. No one ever says, "Hey, hold on, I need to get like my pile of insecurities and my doubts and worries. Can I carry that on with me?" Like, sir, no, there's no room for that baggage. No. I need like my crap with me because I'm gonna need it in Tahiti or wherever I'm going because there's gonna be a moment. I let it go.
Yeah.
It's all good. Life is good.
Yeah. Beautiful. Erin?
Yeah, my path to forgiveness has been very important. And the best thing that I really understand now deep within myself is that I only forgive myself when I am certain I won't make the mistake again. And because otherwise I can give myself amnesty, but I don't really trust myself. It's like, if you have a like plate of cookies in front of you, you're like, I'm only going to eat one, but then you eat two. I don't trust myself to not eat three. So at the point where I have overcome, so at the point where I have overcome the temptation or the weakness or the insecurity or whatever caused a mistake, and I do believe in mistakes, not just learning experiences. They're only learning experiences if you learn from them. then I'm free, and I'm not free until then. So I can do all this forgiveness work. I can say, I forgive myself. I can look in the mirror and forgive myself, but it doesn't work until I believe that I'll not make them do it again.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Erika, I saw your hand go up. You have a final thought?
Yeah. Something that I would love to get into the next time is this, how self-compassion plays into forgiveness, and also how forgiveness, just like love, is often non-linear, right? So like iterate, learn, go deeper, and keep going. And so much of this experience is how we show up for it, just like a meditation practice. It's not so much about sitting still and being quiet. It's like when we drop out of practice or when we forget, how do we get back to center? How do we go back into it, right? So I think that a lot of these processes are exactly the same. Keep going.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Kev?
One of my closing thoughts is, if you analyze anything in the world, everything is in a circular motion. Everything is a cycle. So if you're dealing with insecurity or low self-esteem, the first thing to do is have patience with yourself. It may take 6 months, it may take a year for you to muster up the courage to go out there and try to overcome your insecurity. And once you do that, you may feel more insecure after that. But that takes some time to go back into your own self contemplation and then build up that courage again and then go back out there and try it again. Don't get caught up on the time and thinking that it has to happen at a specific time. Just keep on going and keep on going. And then after a while, you will build up enough courage, and then you'll have this exponential growth that just turns up, and then you start to develop that secureness within yourself and have that high self-esteem. Fear is an illusion, but danger is real. But don't play on the illusion. And the way, and it hit me today, is like, if you look at a lion and a gazelle, everybody likes to focus on the lion. And the lion is the predator, but no one focuses on the gazelle. The danger is there, but you always see a gazelle out there. You always see itself showing up to go get water, to do whatever it needs to. But when the danger shows up, just like these life situations, they will show up. You take the necessary actions that you need to take, but do not run and do not be in fear. And also, I learned so much from you guys, and I appreciate you all. And I probably will reference y'all for the rest of my life too.
I love it. Cordelia, I saw your hand go up.
One sentence. I didn't.
Yeah.
One sentence. It's a practice to move from insecurity and low self-esteem.
Yeah.
It's a practice. That's it.
Yes.
You're talking about practice. Sorry.
One thing.
No. Yeah, I love it. Did I cut somebody off? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. My bad. My thing is, the root of insecurity and self-doubt and all that is fear. That's all it is fear. And all fear is false evidence appearing real. So we can conquer the fear and get over and move past the fear. That's a great
Or
way.
change the definition, face everything and rise.
Face everything
Let's
and
get it.
rise.
Let's get it, right?
However you want to do it, just get over that fear, you know, just get over it. You know? And we all fear something. So
I love it, man. Ryan, go ahead.
Just real quick, it's kind of funny that this is the topic today because I put this this bracelet on the other day. I've got these bracelets on, and it says, "Love who you are." I don't know if you can see that. It says, "Love who you are," and then on the back side it says, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Yep. Beautiful.
Man, I wish I had my card with me.
Beautiful show, guys. Thank you so much for your input, for your thoughts, for your lifelong journey, because each of you has gone through a journey and you brought that today. And I know you're not done. I know you guys are still growing. And that's the beautiful thing of life is we're all exactly where we are. And we come together in a conversation like this, and it's powerful. I mean, it truly is. You are where you are. You're going to launch from wherever you are. That's what you've got to work with. So let's work with it, right? Part of becoming secure is a practice. At first, you know, in my book, The Art of Accomplishment, I say you got to be willing to suck at something long enough to get good at it. And most of us don't want to suck at it. We want to get out there and do it and be good, right? But like you said, Cap, it's a practice. And so I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for being on the show. We're going to do this again every month for those that are watching. We appreciate you as Giants. Please share this with anybody that you think would be served that might be suffering from insecurity. We love you. We'll see you in the next video. Make it a Giant day.
Thank you.
Love you too.
Bless.
Yeah.